Hello folks, today is Friday, August 4th, 2023. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. It's a good amount of stuff to talk about, so let's just jump right in. First, we got some updates on Assassin's Creed Mirage, which we did talk about the last week or the week before with the world size, specifically with how much smaller it is, and now we have a little bit of a good figure as to how long this game will actually take to complete. So the French YouTuber Julien Chièze, sorry about pronunciation, got some good info. They got to talk to Ubisoft directly, check out the game, and shout out to PC Games N for translating this. We'll link this all in the description down below, but the quote from the developer is, "Given that we do a lot of playtesting internally, it's part of our process. We really want to get as close as possible to the players, so we'll say that the latest playtimes we've received average around 20 to 23 hours. That can go up to 25-30 hours for completionists, and we'll say that those who will be rushing the game will be around 20 hours. So for me, someone who has to rush the game to review it, 20 hours. Okay, so on the longer side for some people, 30 hours. That is, in my opinion, seemingly a game that won't overstay its welcome or be filled with filler or fluff. But with Ubisoft, that remains to be seen. Still, this goes one of two ways. Everybody's different, everybody's wallet's different, everybody's preference is different. So I want to know what you guys think specifically in the comments. How do you feel about 25 to 30 hours? Is that something that you think is a waste of money? Or maybe are you busy, you have kids or school or whatever, and you think that's just the right amount of time? Or do you want to spend $60, $70 on that? There's a whole conversation to be had there. So let me know what you think in the comments. But there's some other info that did come out about Assassin's Creed over the last couple of weeks, just to catch you guys up on. Last known position is in the game, where if enemies see you and you leave, it will leave behind a little ghost. This was in Assassin's Creed Unity. It was also something popularized in the earlier Splinter Cell games like Blacklist, and it's a useful thing in stealth games. Ubisoft has been putting out these social videos that show stuff like this that is in the game, as well as setting traps. We get to see the character put a kind of poisonous bomb trap. We also get to see them utilize smoke bombs. And also shout out to eagle-eyed Redditor Skulls7, who took some screenshots and pointed out that interiors seem to be much more accessible this time around compared to the last few games. And I can confirm that as seeing the game being played behind the scenes at Summer Game Fest. It does seem like there are a lot more enterable interiors, and not like the bigger new RPG games where it's just like a hut or it's like a roof with like a room, that like actual full interiors. That being said, the jury's still out on whether or not Assassin's Creed Mirage is going to be any good. I'm still kind of 50-50 on it. This is the one I definitely want to check out as a little bit of a return to form classic type thing, but we're just gonna have to wait and see and judge it when we get our hands on it. And speaking of getting our hands on things, we have been playing Baldur's Gate 3 for the last couple of days, and if this is Friday, it came out yesterday, so people are jumping into it. Eric and I behind the scenes have put a lot of hours into it, and so far it seems to be pretty great. Not a lot of big red flags or technical issues or anything. It just seems like a big, crazy RPG with some incredible characters and branching storyline and decision, like real role-playing stuff. Obviously, there's the stuff you expect, like loot, damage numbers, turn-based battle, all that types of stuff, but it's really just the amount of flexibility the game has in terms of like what you do, who your character is, the choices you make, and the story it tells seems pretty awesome, and I'm looking forward to playing a lot more this weekend. Of course, if you want to check it out, learn a little bit more, our Before You Buy video and some additional thoughts by me in a separate video will both be linked in the description down below. Hey, next up, this episode's brought to you by our longtime sponsor, Raycon. Raycon is disrupting the electronics industry simply by offering great audio for everybody. These things come in at about half the price of other premium audio brands. Raycon earbuds give you 8 hours of battery life and a total 32 hours with the handy-dandy charging carrying case, and they're sleekly designed. They got a nice, comfy, noise-isolating fit. They don't fall out. They pair up nice and easy with Bluetooth, and you press a button right on it to access different sound profiles, noise isolation, and awareness mode. They got a variety of different sizes and colors for everybody. They've really leveled their stuff up over the years, and wireless is just better because you're not dealing with cables and getting tangled up. And for me personally, that's really big when I do like work calls on Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, because they're nice and sleek and I can be in the conversation without these big cans over my ears. Since they're affordable, it's nice to have an extra pair to slip into your bag for a backup, and they have a 30-day free return policy. So check them out. It helps the show. So click the link in the description description down below or head to buyraycon.com/gameranx to get 50% off your Raycon purchase. That's buyraycon.com/gameranx to get 15% off. Go click that in the description if you want, and big thanks to Raycon for sponsoring these videos. Now, of course, it's time for Switch 2 rumors. The Switch 2 rumors are back, man. Are you ready? Don't look at me like that. This time it seems like it's actually going to be maybe real. So according to sources speaking with Video Games Chronicle and a couple of other places, Nintendo is apparently targeting a 2024 next-gen console. Apparently development kits are out there in the wild with some of the bigger studios. And this new hardware is apparently, according to these rumors, so take it all with a grain of salt, but apparently it's slated for the second half of 2024. It's worth noting that the Switch has been out for a while now, like 7 years or so, and both Nintendo, I believe, and also analysts are predicting a slump with those sales to start coming because it has been out for so long. So it makes sense for this to be the time where they kick it up, ramp it up. In terms of actual details about the hardware itself, not too much is known. It is suggested as of right now that it is going to have an LCD screen, not an OLED screen, to keep costs down. But I gotta say, damn, after having the OLED Switch, it's going to be hard to go back. Yeah. Along with that, this thing is apparently still also going to use cartridge slots, for games. But we don't actually know how this thing is going to work with like previous gen Switch games. Like, is it going to be actual Switch 2 backwards compatibility, or is Nintendo going to get weird again and just make a completely different thing? I think they've learned their lessons, and they've even said publicly they want to kind of keep their ecosystem going, their account-wide stuff going this time around. So I expect it to be a little bit more seamless this time, but with Nintendo, things are crazy. We don't know. But component-wise, we don't have anything to go on, like the hardware inside of it, other than things we've heard for the last couple of years. So I wouldn't put too much faith in any of that yet. But it is worth noting that these reports do suggest that it does have a handheld mode. So it is actually going to seemingly be like a Switch 2 type of thing. Something that still keeps the sensibility of being able to play it at your TV or take it and leave and go. And I'm so glad, because I was expecting Nintendo to just be weird and ditch that feature for some reason after they looked at the data and saw a lot of people play handheld or vice versa. But I'm glad they're seemingly, according to these reports, keeping the hybrid model going. That's where it's at. And again, Switch 2 news rumors pop up all the time, although these have seemed to have been the strongest at the very least. So keep your eyes peeled for more news to trickle out, because if this is the case and these reports do suggest that this is a real thing, I expect more leaks, more things to start trickle out that have a little bit more credence to them. Credence Clearwater Revival. In other news, where the hell is Transformers? Activision has lost Transformers. What are we gonna do? Like the great Transformers games that came out like last gen, like War for Cybertron and stuff like that? Well, according to Hasbro, they had actually lost a lot of that stuff. But there's more to it to read past the headlines, so let's dive in. It surfaced that like during an older interview, some people from Hasbro on the Transformers side talked about Activision's things being on hard drive. They didn't even know where they were. And I quote, when a company eats a company that eats a company, things get lost, and that's very frustrating. As well as Hasbro adding that they hope that like the Activision Blizzard thing will lead to a lot of good archival work and Activision unearthing and really finding where a lot of their stuff is. With a Hasbro rep saying specifically, we want those games back up for people to have a chance to play. There's even more quotes if you want to read, linked in the description down below, about how like working on War for Cybertron, like they didn't have access to certain stuff, so they had to rip their own games just to get looks at Transformers and stuff when they're designing. It seems pretty messy, but Activision's CEO and EVP Lulu Cheng, who is notably very outspoken on social media and will always try and correct the record, it seems, came out and tried to correct the record with this one, saying specifically, these headlines are wrong. We have the code. It's not lost and never was. Along with that, Hasbro also put out an official statement saying, to clarify, comments that suggest Transformers games have been lost were made in error. We apologize. So there's that. Crisis seemingly averted. It was a funny story that kind of took social media by storm and took Transformers fans by storm for a minute there this week, so we figured we'd clarify. And also, it's a good reason to talk about War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron being surprisingly awesome. I miss those games. I want to replay those. Oh, and in a cool update for some of you guys who aren't on the current gen, if you're still on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it seems like EA and Respawn are working on a last gen version of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, so you can get caught up. During an EA earnings briefing, they said that they are in the early stages of bringing it to PS4 and Xbox One. So there you go. Although a lot of people that I know are saying good luck because I mean, the PC version of that game was rough at launch. Like, that thing was already hard to get. Yeah. Yeah, the frame rate, like, it's hard to get that thing running, so all we can do is hope for the best. Next up, got some things linked in the description down below for you to check out. Of course, I linked the Baldur's Gate 3 review or first impressions type of thing, review in progress, if you want to check that out. Also, Alone in the Dark is starting to ramp up their like marketing and stuff, and I'm curious to see how that game's going to be. There's like a new teaser for The Dark Man, and it's very spooky, it's very short, but also it was like them announcing like a collector's edition type of thing. Ultimately, I've just got my eye on this one because I hope it's good. I have no idea if it's going to be any good, but I want Alone in the Dark to have a comeback. Also, I didn't really talk about it last week, but it's out now, so we linked a trailer. Disney Illusion Island actually seems like it's pretty cool. I'm not really like a Mickey Mouse guy by any means, but this Switch game seems like a really creative take on a multiplayer Metroidvania style game where there isn't combat. And I like creativity like that, and a lot of my friends have been playing it and saying it's pretty sweet. Also dropping next week, and we haven't talked about it enough, is a game called WrestleQuest. This is kind of like an old school Super Nintendo style RPG adventure game, but framed around like classic wrestling characters like Macho Man and stuff. So I'm in. As somebody who hasn't watched wrestling since 2001, I'm definitely in. Also, Dead by Daylight is just like, when are they going to stop? Now they have announced that they are doing Alien. They teased an alien and everything, and they showed off the ship, and we're going to know more August 8th. What's cool, though, is that specifically it's like Alien branded, not Aliens. So it's less colonial marines being awesome and more scary, which I like. Also, I'm sorry I didn't talk about it last week. The news dropped like right when we put the video up, but Final Fantasy XIV fans are eating good with a new Dawntrail expansion announced. New areas, new characters, enemies, just like a big old Final Fantasy XIV expansion. I'm happy for you guys, but no matter what you say, I will still never play it. I had to retire from MMOs once I started being a game reviewer. I always have to play the next thing. Still, that's something to look forward to. And also, it's worth pointing out that Remnant 2, which dropped like a week or so ago, we reviewed it, we really liked it, is having some success. It already crossed 1 million units sold. That is within the first week, and that's significant because it's just not the game you would expect to do that right away. But it's a cool subgenre blending of like a multiplayer shooter, some Souls-like elements, randomly generated stuff. It's creative, and it's a little bit more of a AA style game that, you know, I very much liked from the previous generations, PS3, 360 era, that like middle of the road, mid-budget, European developed game. So to see something like Remnant have some pretty quick success is two things. Both the community, the really good following that the original game had that all backed up this one, but also just people are looking for different experiences. Some people are just burnt out on big AAA games that have issues or remakes and remasters. So here you go. It's such a weird game. We love it. We were literally like in between this cut, like we were just talking about it, your cool armor. So consider checking it out. I know a lot of people are burnt on like live service type games. This thing is kind of like the perfect counter to that. Like it's not a live service game, but it is like a multiplayer, seemingly endlessly type shootery thing that is actually good and doesn't like waste your time or just try and get more money out of you. So check that out. If you're looking for something different or you're burnt out on other experiences, yeah, not like sponsored or by it or anything, but yeah, just wanted to point that out. Good. Any soapbox over. We got to go back to playing some games for Before You Buy videos. So that's the news this week. That's everything. Let me know what you think in the comments about everything going on. Are you happy that for once we're not talking about the Activision Blizzard acquisition stuff? I'm so tired.
Oh my God.
We went a week without no updates, no nothing.
I didn't even realize.
Thank God. What do you think about Assassin's Creed Mirage? Of the games releasing right now, WrestleQuest next week, Baldur's Gate 3 this week. What are you playing? Of course, we have that pinned comment down below, so let us know so we can, cater our videos and research, towards what you guys are actually playing. Let's talk about anything down in the comments. Anything at all. We'll be down there as much as possible, but of course, you can always yell at me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, whatever, directly at Jake Baldino. But thank you guys for being here. Have a great weekend. Be safe. I'm Jake Baldino. Pizza's on me.